Prisoners serving life without parole. That's what I'm talking about in this episode. And the person I'm talking about in this episode is Louis de Zoysa. Now, Louis de Zoysa was handed a life without parole, meaning he will never be released from prison for the murder of police officer Mat Ratana. Now, this happened in, I think it was July 2020, and the case didn't come to court and he didn't get found guilty until July 2023. Now, in this case, when I've looked up on it and done a little bit of research, Louis de Zoysa had never been in trouble with the police before. He'd never been arrested and he'd never come into contact with police previously until the night the police officer was murdered. So back in July 2020, Louis de Zoysa was walking around the streets at 1:30 in the morning, and two police officers were driving past and said he looked suspicious, so they done a stop and search. But as they done the stop and search, they were questioning him and asking him what he was doing, and he was acting a bit shifty. So, like I've mentioned, they done a stop and search, and when they went through his pockets, they came across a load of bullets. So then he was placed under arrest. But when they were arresting him and searching him, they didn't discover that he actually had a revolver in his possession. So it was now around about 1:45 in the morning when they called for backup. They called for a police van to come and put him in the back of the van, take him to the police station, because he was now under arrest for having ammunition. But when I've been looking into this case, it has been said that the police officers failed in their search, because when I was looking up on this case and doing a bit of research, there was a former Met police officer or former detective talking about this case and talking about the failings with the case. And when these police officers found the ammunition, that should have been the red flags to say, right, now let's look for the gun. If you find ammunition, ammunition means weapons. So when they've done the search, they hadn't realised he actually had a shoulder holster on and he had the gun concealed somewhere around about here. So obviously they've patted him down, they've searched him and not realised he's had this revolver in his possession. But it goes on to say that he actually has what's been described as hypermobility, meaning he can get into all different types of positions, meaning his joints are hypermobile, so he can do twists and turns what normal mobile people can't do. So when he was placed in custody, his hands were handcuffed behind his back, and whilst he was in the back of the police van, he was able to maneuver his arms and hands into a position where he was able to pull the gun out of the holster, what normal people wouldn't be able to do, especially if your hands are handcuffed behind your back. But then when he's taken into the police custody suite and he's been spoken to by the sergeant, and the sergeant is Mat Ratana. So there's now 3 police officers and Louis de Zoysa in the custody suite getting processed. So when they go to do a further search, Louis de Zoysa has already manoeuvred the gun and put the revolver in the back of his pants, ready to commit murder. There's no other way to put it. Louis de Zoysa had one intention in his mind, and for whatever reason, he wanted to shoot the police officers. And he's never been, like I've mentioned previously, he's never been in trouble with the police previously. He's never been arrested. No such contact with the police until this night. So when the sergeant comes to try and further search him, what he does, he gets the gun from behind his back and he aims at the officer and shoots Mat Ratana, fatally injuring him, and he later died from his gunshot wounds. But the other 2 police officers dived on top to try and subdue Louis de Zoysa, And what happens next is he fires another 3 bullets. But luckily, the bullets hit no further police officers, and the only other bullet that hit somebody was himself. It must have ricocheted off the wall, come back, and it hit Louis de Zoysa in the neck, which caused catastrophic injuries. The injury that he sustained to his neck caused a blood clot that went up into his brain and caused brain damage. And this is the reason why it took nearly 3 years to get to trial. Because Louis de Zoysa has been in a critical condition in hospital, getting care until he was fit to stand trial. But what I'll do before I go any further, if you have a look, I'll upload a video now so you can actually see when he's getting arrested and what happens in the custody suite.
I want to detain you under Section 1 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, okay? The reason for that is there's a lot of burglaries in this area, and I've just seen you walk. You can just keep your hands out your pockets for now. I'll take
non-medical
on London Road, junction with Pollard's Hill North, please. Don't put your hands in your pockets. Don't do that again. Do you understand?
How many canisters?
Yeah. Canisters.
Oh.
Right, at the moment,
Right.
I'm placing you under arrest for possession of what I believe to be bullets.
I'm not involved in the investigation. You've been arrested on suspicion of possession of bullets, ammunition, and possession of intent to supply. Class B. Anything else? That's it. Alright. Your detention's not been authorised yet, but I can authorise a search of you under Section 54 of PACE. Stand up. Mate, you're good enough to...
So as you can see there in the custody suite, everything that I've just described happened in that custody suite. And when Louis de Zoysa was took from hospital, then he was placed in Belmarsh as Category A, high security, awaiting trial. And whilst he was awaiting trial, the reason why he went to trial, because everything was there on camera, he could not deny that he'd done the murder. But he was trying to get off on diminished responsibility because Louis de Zoysa was autistic. And the only reasoning he gave for committing the murder that night was that he had an autistic meltdown. And that was the reason he gave for killing Sergeant Mat Ratana. But when this was brought up in court, and obviously the jury didn't believe what he was saying, they believed he had the intention that that night he was going out to commit murder. If it wasn't the police officer, it would have been somebody else. So the jury found him guilty of the murder, and that's when he was sentenced to life without parole. But Louis de Zoysa wasn't just your ordinary, or not ordinary, should I say, he isn't your typical cop killer type of person. Because when you have a look at cop killers in the past, they've always had like a sort of a history of violence. There's always been reasons behind it. Not that I'm saying there's justifiable reasons, but what I mean by that is there's always been reasons behind it, like the case of David Bieber. The reasoning behind him killing a police officer was because he didn't want to get extradited back to the United States. But whereas Louis de Zoysa, he wasn't on the run, he wasn't wanted by the police, he didn't have a history of violence. But what he did have was a history of being quite intelligent. He actually worked for the HMRC in the tax department. He had a girlfriend. He wasn't somebody that was out of the ordinary or extraordinary. He was someone that just seemed like a normal, everyday person that went and done something crazy like this randomly out of the blue. But after the fatal shooting, and they've went to search his house after all of this, they've went on to find other types of weapons And in his house, they found, 2 seconds, I'll just go on, because I'll just to get the exact details of what they found when they went through his house. Just got it up on the computer here, because there was quite a substantial amount of things or weapons found in his house when they went on to do a search of his house not long afterwards. So it goes on to say that the jury which convicted Louis de Zoysa was not told a shortened infantry rifle, numerous types of ammunition, a pipe gun, and a dummy launcher were found at his rented property after the killing. So that goes to show that he had some sort of fascination with weapons, and he had in his mind some sort of intent of doing dangerous or doing some severe damage with these weapons. And obviously that's why he was sentenced to life without parole. But the weapon, which was an antique revolver, he actually bought this on an online auction. It wasn't something that was illegal. This was legally purchased from an online auction. Obviously, it wasn't purchased with the bullets, but he went on, supposedly it says, he went on to make the bullets himself. And when the judge was doing his summing up, which I'll upload the video just after this little bit here, but when the judge was doing his summing up, he went on to say that the only sentence he could pass was a whole life order, life without parole, because anybody that kills a police officer on duty is automatically going to be given life without parole. They brought a new law out in the Houses of Parliament. They brought the new law out where if you kill a police officer who is on active duty, then the only sentence you can be given is life without parole. But obviously Louis de Zoysa was trying to say that he had an autistic meltdown, but the summing up is on for around about 20 minutes, but I'll just upload a shortened version because it does go on for quite a bit and he does repeat himself a bit, but I have watched the full 20 minutes of the judge's summing up before he sentenced him to life without parole. And he says that there's no justification, there's no point in the case where he feels that he couldn't pass anything other than life without parole. But again, like I mentioned, when he goes on to talk about him having autism, he goes on to say that even though he's got autism, he was very intelligent. He had a girlfriend, he had a job, he worked in the tax department, so he couldn't try and claim that he wasn't capable of looking after himself and he wasn't capable of doing the things that he was trying to put for his defence. And again, that's why the judge has given him life without parole.
De Zoysa at 1:26 in the morning on the 25th of September 2020, you shot dead Sergeant Mat Ratana. He was the custody sergeant at Croydon Police Station. He had devoted his life to public service. He put himself in the way of danger to protect the public and to protect and safeguard those who came into custody. You have robbed Sue Bushby of their future life together, Diane Peachy of her stepson, Luke Ratana of his father, and Jessica Williams and James Young of their brother. They are all rightly immensely proud of the man you killed. They recognise that you bear the sole responsibility for his murder. They say in their victim impact statements that for the officers who were on duty that night, they have nothing but support, sympathy, admiration and respect. Luke Ratana himself is a police officer. He knows as well as anyone the dangers they face day in, day out, and the difficult circumstances in which they operate. You said that you had an autistic meltdown. You said that you had diminished responsibility. The jury disagreed. The jury found you guilty of murder. The sentence for murder is set by law. It is life imprisonment. So I sentence you to life imprisonment. The law requires the court to decide whether to set a minimum term order or a whole life order. A minimum term order means that you can be considered for release after the minimum term. A whole life order means that you remain in custody for the rest of your life. The seriousness of the offence means that a minimum term order is not justified. A whole life order must be imposed. Louis de Zoysa, I sentence you to imprisonment for life. I impose a whole life order. That means you will remain in custody for the rest of your life. You may now be taken from...
So it goes on to say, and the judge is summing up as well, asking about the level of care that Louis de Zoysa will need whilst in prison because of his injuries that he inflicted on himself in the custody suite. He's going to need lifelong care. So the only thing that this whole life order is going to do is put a massive strain on whichever prison is holding him. Now, he's in Belmarsh prison because the Belmarsh governor put a report in for the pre-sentence reports, and they were asking if there would be adequate care in the prison where he will be kept. And the governor of the HMP Belmarsh says that there is adequate care to look after Louis de Zoysa because, like I've said, he needs round-the-clock care because of his brain injuries that he inflicted upon himself. And that was another reason why he was given a whole life order, because the governor did go on to say that they would be able to facilitate looking after Louis de Zoysa for the rest of his life. But Louis de Zoysa is going to be a bane on the prison system and the amount of money that it's going to cost the taxpayers keeping somebody in prison like this for so long. But again, I'm not saying that he didn't deserve life without parole. What I'm going on to say is the amount of effort and care that is going to have to go into looking after the likes of de Zoysa for the rest of his life. And he's just becoming a burden on the prison system. But like I've mentioned previously, if you've been following my channel, I will be covering 100 cases of life without parole. At the minute, I think I'm getting around about 20 cases, and currently there's about 73 prisoners still serving this sentence. And the sentence was brought out in 1983, and it was kept for the most severe and heinous of crimes. And like I mentioned, there's 73 still serving the sentence, but I will get through each and every one of the 100 cases. I've been doing this for around about just over a year now. And every now and again, I will put a video in of who is actually serving the sentence, past and present. But remember, people, if you are enjoying the content, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll leave that one there for now. If there is any more topics that you would like us to cover, please leave it in the comment section, let me know. And I will be getting loads of more videos uploaded soon. So keep an eye out on the channel, people. But remember to go and check that you are subscribed so you won't miss another video, or make sure if you are subscribed to hit the notification bell so you'll get notified every time a new video comes up. But if you are wanting to support the channel and join me Patreon, the link is in the description, and you get access to exclusive content, and you get access to my Discord channel where we have daily interactions with the members, and I upload stuff that I don't put on YouTube. There's a wide range of different channels on my Discord group. And if you are wanting to become a member, like I said, click the link in the description. And if you want, you can join. It's your option. It's your choice, sorry. You've got the option. But I'll leave that one there for now, people. Hope everyone has a great day. Take care.